Welcome back to episode 6 of Seriously Social. Today we are myth busting. We're going to find out what's true, what's not about a lot of myths that people believe on social media. So let's jump into it. Koshal, why don't you introduce yourself first?
Yeah, it's nice to meet everybody. My name's Koshal, like social, partner here at Sociallyin, and go ahead and pass it over to Keith.
Yep, my name's Keith. I'm the CEO of Sociallyin, one of the only social media agencies in the nation, and we're going to be busting a lot of myths today.
All right, let's start with hashtags. I feel like, especially in today's age, it's like really one of those hot topics of like, are hashtags even still, like, are hashtags dead? Are hashtags, like, the more hashtags you have, the more reach you have? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear to me. So there's certain platforms that hashtags still work on, but like where they used to work, they don't anymore. So let's just take Instagram, for example. A couple of months ago, Adam Mosseri, the CEO of Instagram, put out a public statement that said hashtags don't equal more reach. Now, hashtags are still good for other reasons, right? Like you might want to find specific content in a category or an industry, or you might be branding an event and you want all of that content to come into a single feed. So there's still use for hashtags, but definitely on Instagram, the myth is busted that hashtags don't matter anymore. And that's straight from the CEO, right? So like, this is not us doing some testing and data and all the marketing stuff. It's like the guy who's making the algorithm straight up told us. And like I said, there are other platforms that hashtags work well for, like TikTok potentially, but as far as we know, they are on the down trend when it comes to algorithm reach. But like I said, there are other uses.
I think on TikTok, for example, we were talking in one of our past episodes on search engine optimization. If you haven't checked that episode out, go check it out. I'll link it right here. Search engine optimization is basically using your social platform as a search engine. And so those keywords can often be found in hashtags.
That's right, yeah.
So like on platforms like TikTok, there is still value. Now, do you need to put 10 hashtags in your post? Probably not. You need to pick like 1-2 strong keywords that you want to...
Yeah, we knew hashtag stuffing was like not a thing even before the public statement came out.
That's right.
So yeah, definitely don't hashtag stuff.
Hashtags are still good for optimization, to your point. So making sure that people know what you're talking about. If you are a part of a specific niche, identifying or correlating yourself with that. But when it comes to using them to get discovered or to get your post found, most platforms now have openly said that they don't use it for that purpose.
Right. I do think, before we move on past hashtags, one other thing that you had mentioned, Keith, is, using it for, like, let's say a branded event. We often use them for UGC campaigns as well, right? So even on Instagram, on TikTok, if we're running something where we're trying to get folks to all use the same hashtag and therefore curate a lot of content from users in one place, that's a really good use of a hashtag.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing an event, you definitely want an event branded hashtag. If you're doing anything localized, you probably want to insert the city. On a side note, if you are a local business and you want to get reach within your region, try out the location feature, because on Instagram now, they have the map functionality where you can see what's happening in different areas and different pockets of your city. And that's purely based on stories that are posted that are tagged with the location in them. So if you're a restaurant, you should be posting stories daily and then tagging your location, tagging Atlanta, Georgia, tagging New York, wherever you're at. So that way, when people are looking on the map feature, your stories are showing up in the different pockets that they might be in.
Right.
Yeah. I've actually seen engagement on specifically Instagram and TikTok when you do include a local affinity, depending on maybe it's a restaurant or a city. That I tend to get more engagement with people from that region.
Right.
Actually on that post. Directly, I saw it. I'll go look at the demographics. I'm like, okay, wow, I tagged.
So if you're a content creator going to a restaurant in a new city, you might want to tag that restaurant, add the location in there, because it could open up more audience.
You're automatically pulling in the people that would be interested.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Let's move on to another myth. Facebook is dead. Yes or no? So, I mean...
So myth number 2, Facebook is dead?
Yeah, I think the reason behind this statement is... Okay, so Keith and Coach will say myth busted. But I think the reason behind this statement is a lot about who the audience is on Facebook, right? And so if your brand is in a certain space, trying to reach a certain demographic, perhaps Facebook isn't the place for you. What would you say? Who
Yeah, I mean, that's totally wrong, right? Like, Facebook reach, number 1, is at an all-time high. the algorithm has shifted from social media based to interest based, as we've been talking about a lot in our previous episodes, right? Like today, social media is purely interest based. It shows you content not from who you follow, but from interested things that you're interested in, things that you're interested in. So absolutely not. Myth busted. Probably no conversation needed after this.
No.
That Facebook is dead. And I want to say something else, right? So like we're talking about organic reach, but remember, Facebook owns many properties. Facebook owns Instagram. Facebook owns WhatsApp. Facebook owns Messenger. Facebook owns not Horizon, Oculus. All of these different properties tap into their ad network. So if you're a local business, if you're a corporate enterprise, you can still reach the person that you want to reach through the Meta ad platform. But if we're talking about specifically Facebook organic reach, absolutely not dead, actually undervalued. Please be on Facebook, post on Facebook.
Please be on Facebook.
I promise you will not regret.
Videos on Facebook actually do really, really well if you know. I mean, if you post, I think I mentioned this in another episode where the 1 second static image. So the 1 second static image, that's actually a video because it doesn't do anything because it's an image. But publishing it as a video on Facebook has worked really, really well.
Right.
So posting a static image, but maybe just adding a sound behind it so it plays for a certain amount of time and it registers as a video.
That's right. Or even looping it for 1 second. Literally nothing has to change. But it's a video. And so the algorithms will promote it more.
I do think it was a smart distinction that you made between paid and organic, right? Because that does make a big difference.
Right.
As far as on any platform, how you're going to approach it and what's going to work for you.
Yeah, that's right. The only thing I can say about the Facebook myth is 3 billion monthly active users. That's almost half of the world's population.
So it's not dead.
Not even
There's a lot out there.
Yeah. And if we wanted to pull up some numbers to kind of go over this, so as of 2025, there's 3.6 billion monthly active users, right? 2.1 daily active users, average spend time, 30 minutes a day spent on Facebook alone. Now, if I go by USA, in the US, Facebook has 194 million monthly active users, or number of users, penetrating 68% of US adults. The age demographics range anywhere as low as 16, all the way obviously upwards, but the primary is 25 to 34, comprising of 25% of Facebook users.
I think that's important to note. 25 to 34 is quite young. Like, I think a lot of times we think like, oh, Facebook's just for quote-unquote boomers. And it's like, no, there's still millennials and younger on this platform.
A lot of millennials still, actually.
Every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So teenage usage is declining. Fewer teens are saying that they're using Facebook less. But that's, again, like you said, not to say there isn't a quote-unquote younger demographic. Right. I mean, I do remember, I'm 34 now. I do remember when I was 18, 19 years old, I was look at a 34-year-old and be like, God damn.
You look.
Yeah, true. But realistically, if you're reaching millennials, which would be us, or younger, they are still on the platform. Right. And they are still actively on the platform, using it daily.
Yeah.
So myth busted. Facebook is not dead. Just depends on how you're approaching it, where your brand should be, whether it's paid, organic, and how, you make use of that brand, understanding who your demographic is.
Right.
Okay, next myth.
Yeah, so next is that TikTok is just for Gen Z.
I would say myth busted. Because just like Facebook, there is a wide demographic on this platform that people often dismiss and just assume, okay, TikTok is for, it's been years since people say like TikTok is for dancing, but I think a lot of people still hold that mentality of like TikTok is just for trends and dances and it's for the young people. And it's like, no, there are so many niches on this platform.
100%.
Book talk,
Agreed.
mom talk, dog talk, wedding talk, whatever it may be. People are finding what they're looking for on this platform. And I do believe it's also one of the biggest platforms being used for search engine optimization, which we, again, discussed in the past.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have some numbers for you guys, right? Like we went over the Facebook stats. TikTok, monthly active users globally, 1.5 million. 1.59 million. So almost billion, yeah. Billion. I was like, no, billion. Okay. Almost 1.6 billion.
So you said approximately 200 million on Facebook. And
No. 3.6 billion monthly active on Facebook and 1.6 billion.
Yeah, 3.06.
Yeah.
Facebook.
All right.
1.66 billion on TikTok.
Yep.
and then and the US specifically 137 million monthly active users, daily 82 million, but time spent, listen to this, almost an hour a day on TikTok.
Yeah.
And the demographics breakdown in the US definitely does skew younger. So 18 to 24 is 27%. 25 to 34, our age group, is almost 40%.
Okay.
Then as you get older, so 35 to 44, 16%, 45 to 54, 8%, and then 55 and above, also 8%.
Incredible.
So still massive numbers, right? Like if you're able to reach 8% of 55-year and older, like that's still a huge number to reach.
That's what actually, but most of these platform myths, I think what has come about is all the platforms, when you look at the data, they have nuances or some numbers may be skewed depending on age or demographics. And that has come over time. But I think what people get stuck on or harp on too much is they'll say TikTok is Gen Z,
Right.
looking at those numbers, but we're talking about billions of people.
Right.
Billions.
Like,
Especially for small businesses who have like a certain number that they can even serve.
Right.
that's right.
Right.
So it's all relevant.
You know who sends me the most TikToks? My dad. Like,
Yeah.
so he used to, I would come home, he'd be sitting on the couch. And,
How old are you that?
my dad is 62. But yeah, I used to come home, and this sounds like a cliche, but this is straight facts. I used to come home, catch my dad on the couch reading newspaper. Now I come home and dad is scrolling
on
TikTok.
TikTok,
And
yeah.
that's just the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So myth busted. TikTok is not just for Gen Z anymore. It's a huge plethora of people. Rewind a little bit and you'll see that age demographic breakdown that we just talked about. But I have another myth related to TikTok.
Alright.
Is this myth number 4?
I think so.
Thanks.
Myth number 4, that TikTok is only for fun, dancing, entertaining content, and that B2B brands can't get serious on TikTok.
Myth busted again.
Again?
Again.
Wow. So the only myth that we didn't bust was that hashtags don't have reach.
Yeah.
So that's true. Hashtags don't have reach.
Yeah. So hashtags are, in a sense, less useful than they used to be. However, they're not completely dead. We found that there are
Okay.
solutions for them. But yes, so coming back to TikTok.
Yeah. So, I mean, many B2B brands today that we monitor and we look at,
Yeah.
work with, they're using TikTok for things like thought leadership, educational content. Now, it can all still be entertaining at the end of the day. Product demos, edutainment, right. And remember what I said about the demographic, right? 25 to 34-year-olds on TikTok comprise of almost 40% of the TikTok audience. 25 to 34-year-olds, I don't know if you guys know this, but are in corporate America. They are now the decision makers. They are the people who are securing budgets and, have the money to spend on small businesses and agencies and, whatever it might be. So definitely don't say that TikTok is not a B2B play, because it absolutely could be if done properly. Now, you're not going to be dancing. You're not going to be doing overly trend level type of content. But remember, interest-based media. So if you're educational, if you're providing value, and if you're entertaining at the same time, you can absolutely win there.
And TikTok also now has longer form capabilities, right? So people are creating longer and longer videos with more and more information.
What's the length?
I think you can go up to 10
minutes, yeah.
10 minutes on TikTok.
Got it.
I have yet to see a 10-minute TikTok, to be honest, but I have seen videos that are up to like 3-4 minutes.
Yes.
And I've watched them. Like, if they're really good storytelling or teaching me how to do something I've always wanted to know how to do, it's what I used to look for on YouTube, I often find on TikTok these days.
Right.
And I'm gonna give your wife a shout out, but like Ami, she's a nurse, right? And so I see her growing and growing this following, and everything that she posts is educational. She's not always like dancing and showing trends. Everything that she is providing is really informative and educational to her audience, which is a really specific niche. And so exactly like what you were saying is like people are looking for a lot more than just something funny, something quick. This isn't Vine, but it's also not YouTube. It's kind of in between.
I think the platforms evolve, whereas like most platforms, when they emerge, there's a specific reason why the attention is gravitated towards it. So for with TikTok or Musical.ly at that time, it was the dancing and the sounds, etc. But I think as the platform matured, it evolved. People started to come to TikTok for everything. When they're looking for recommendations, when they're looking for entertainment, when they're looking to get education on a topic or a specific matter, when they're looking for feedback on products and things, shopping even, right? Like we talked about it during our social commerce episode, where people are now buying things literally on TikTok, not just something to look at people dancing or people
guilty.
Fun. Yeah, sorry.
Like I see something and I'm like, oh wait, I really want to. Now I'm really interested. And sometimes I'll go down a rabbit hole and start looking at like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 15 videos on this one thing, because I get really interested, and suddenly I am a consumer.
Right. So myth busted. TikTok is for B2B brands.
Okay. Both for B2B brands and also for educational content, regardless of whether you're B2B, B2C, whatever.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
I got a myth for y'all.
Go for it.
To not piggybacking right off of TikTok, but something that's applicable to all of the platforms. But I think TikTok has been a big disruptor regarding this myth. But you need to post daily or multiple times a day to grow. Myth or not?
That's a good one, because I would say
it's not a myth. I do think the more at-bats that you get, the more specifically on TikTok you're able to post, the more opportunities you get, and more importantly, the more opportunities you get to test your content.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't think that is a myth. I do think that is true. Obviously, you should approach everything with strategy. You should not just be posting fluff content every single day. You're not really going to get far with that. But if you do have a good mix of content, you are mixing your pillars, your messaging, you have some trending content to bite that algorithm, but then you also have some really informative and educational stuff on your page, so that when people do come to the page, they find, oh, this is actually really valuable. Right. I want to follow them. I'm going to keep seeing them on my For You page. So yeah, not a myth. Very true that the more you post specifically on a platform like TikTok, which is oversaturated with content, you're going to receive a little bit.
Well, it's funny that you say oversaturated with content.
Or just saturated?
No, not even saturated, actually. So there are more eyeballs on the platform than there are content pieces coming out.
On TikTok?
On TikTok, yeah.
Interesting.
Which is why there's still lots of opportunity for people to go quote-unquote viral.
Okay, so
there's more attention than there is content to consume.
That is a myth busted for me. I believed otherwise. I thought that TikTok, I didn't obviously look at the numbers, but I thought that TikTok had less followers than they had an amount with content.
Well, have you ever been with a friend and said this? I saw the same thing too.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, so that would be my point, right? Is that multiple eyes are seeing the same amount of content.
Right, because there's not enough content.
Oh, you're right. Math.
We need more content.
Got it. Okay.
I will agree to y'all's point. Ultimately, in social media, to Keith's point, if you have more at-bats, you're going to have more opportunities for a single, double, triple, home run, whatever you want to call it. I will say, though, with the nature of how the algorithms have shifted, that you don't have to be somebody who does publish every day to create good, relevant content.
I hear that say.
Get reach.
And it depends on your niche.
It does. It does.
Depends on your niche.
Yeah.
And your audience. There's so many variables to it, but the general rule of thumb is if you can post more,
that's right,
more opportunity to go viral.
That's right.
Right. All right. I've got a myth for you guys.
All right. Hit it.
Platforms these days are pay to play, meaning that you've got to be putting ad money behind your...
Depends on the objective.
All right.
If you want to drive sales to an e-com store, then you're going to have to spend money on ad dollars. Now, there are things e-com stores can do on the organic side, like farm UGC, click content, post multiple times a day. There are things you can do on the organic side, but if you want to drive sales fast, quickly, efficiently, you're going to have to spend money.
Right. Okay.
On the organic side, not so much, right? Like I said, the algorithms have shifted from social media based to interest based. So now if your content is worthy enough, then it will get in front of the right people. Not so much pay to play. If you do have pay to play dollars, then you can amplify that reach.
That's right.
But it's a 50-50 split, right? You got to pay to play if you want to drive sales. If you want to drive awareness and then have some opportunity of sales, then organic could be your friend.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
I think the myth is busted into Keith's point. yes, still spending money on all of the platforms will help amplify and help you achieve the objective you're looking for, but it's not only that now. And I think that's the big change. Whereas when social media first came out, then it matured a little bit. There was this like I would say middle school period where if you weren't spending money and you didn't have a following, you probably were not hitting the numbers or goals that you were looking for. So you had to spend. Now you don't have to spend to only rely on the objectives, but if you do the organic well and you spend dollars, it will actually.
No longer goes high school now.
Yeah, now you're in high school.
So a little bit of both. So yes, pay to play is kind of still true. Myth not necessarily busted. It's very important to actually, if you're, depending on your goals, if you're trying to get traffic to your site, for example, it's probably worth putting in some of the resources. However, organic reach isn't dead, and there's actually a lot more you can do with it these days. One thing I'd like to add to that is I always talk to our clients about what I call participatory content. Getting your audience engaged is something that you can do through organic content, and it is a huge way to not only grow your following, but to grow your community, to grow brand advocates out of the people that you're talking to regularly, right? And that is something we've talked about in our social ROI episode, which isn't necessarily tangible and measurable in the way of, okay, this is the data behind it and this is how many sales we made, but it is valuable in the fact that you are growing your online presence and your community and your brand. And that is something that organic reach can offer you still.
That's right.
Yeah. And I want to say one thing about it. Sometimes it's necessary to pay. So I'll give you an example. If you're going to be doing, let's say, putting on an event, you don't only want to rely on organic reach to fill those seats, because you have to fill those seats or your event is in a loss. So there's sometimes where it's necessary and you just can't rely on organic reach. So just keep that in mind. It's like certain times you can rely, certain times you cannot.
I would also add to that it is important to have both, right? So if you have this great paid strategy and you're just putting out ads all the time, but then people come back to your page and you haven't posted in 2 months, you lose a lot of credibility, you lose a lot of that brand recognition. So you have to have the organic side still maintained and consistent and active in order for the paid side to work.
I agree. I wouldn't say the myth is exactly are the platforms pay to play. I would say the myth that we're actually debunking is you don't have to waste media dollars to figure out what is good creative. And that is the myth that's busted, because now you can figure out good creative and then spend the dollars behind the actual good creative. So,
okay. I got a myth. Another one.
Said it.
Reposting content is useless. Basically, you have, content that you made for TikTok, you repost it on Instagram. Is that worth it?
I think it's busted to a certain extent. Maybe it's just a bust.
Yeah, I think I was going to say the same
Because if you post TikTok onto YouTube or Reels, it's not going to work. But if you post a Reel to YouTube Shorts, there's still some opportunity that'll work. You'll still get reach. You'll still get a different audience.
Yeah.
It was just.
No, I won't say it's.
You can't posting a TikTok to Instagram, maybe not the same, but posting a Reel to TikTok.
No, Reel to
YouTube
Ah,
Shorts.
okay. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. I was going to say it's not busted either, in the sense of, look, going back to the analogy of how many at-bats you get is one of the variables. So if you have a piece of content, you put it in different distribution channels, you have different at-bat opportunities. Now, to that point, I do think you have to be contextual to the platform.
100%.
So if you can't get contextual, then just repurpose.
Yes.
But if you can get contextual, then don't just repurpose, because you're not actually doing the best at it.
Exactly.
I want to make a distinction between you are currently using interchangeably repost and repurpose. And I think that is the significant point there is reposting is just taking that same piece of content, same caption, throwing it on another platform and hoping it works.
That's right.
However, there is value and you can repurpose this piece of content. And the way to do that is just simply to manipulate it a little bit so that it does contextually fit that.
Like change the copy.
Yeah, just
DJ.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, just a little remix
change
in
the
there.
caption, right? You don't need a super long caption on TikTok, whereas that might work on Instagram.
Yep.
You don't need hashtags on Instagram, which you might need on TikTok. Even with the content itself, if you have the time and resources to change the hook in a way that reaches someone on your, on that platform differently, change the CTA at the end, whatever. That's repurposing that content, still making use of the same piece of content, but finding a way that actually is going to perform on the platform that you're putting it on. So,
Yep.
myth, not busted.
Bust.
Myth, half busted.
Half busted.
Half busted.
Middle bust.
All right, what myths you guys got, Marie?
I got one more. I got one that I think will be very helpful because a lot of people probably watch our podcast to make money for their business or for themselves. So let's debunk or bunk this
Wait,
myth.
I want to know. If you're watching the podcast, why are you watching the podcast? I would love to know. That's a good,
Drop it.
Are you watching because you want to make more money? Are you watching because you want to get into social media as a career? Are you watching because I'm just so funny? Like, I want to know what it is that you're watching for. Leave us a comment because that kind of helps us figure out what we
Absolutely.
should make content around. Anyway, continue.
Okay, so myth, whatever number, you need to go viral to make money on social media.
You need to go viral to make money on social media. I would say myth busted.
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 Bust.
I mean, I know someone who has 800 followers.
Yeah.
She does resume consulting.
Okay, nice.
Literally, I'm not kidding you. She has 800 followers. She does resume consulting for 15 minutes, $15. She'll give you 15 minutes of her time. And she is completely booked until like February. And then it's like a 9-hour job. And if you think about it, she's making what? $120 an hour, working from home,
That's
doing what she
great.
loves. And she has 800 followers.
That's second.
The engagement
800.
versus the number of followers.
Holy Ghost.
We talk about that all the time, but like the engagement rate, meaning she has maybe 800 followers, but if all 800 followers are in and they're engaged and they're participating and
That's
they're
right.
paying,
Well, and remember, it's not just the followers. Because she's putting out content that's interest-based. So people who aren't following her are seeing the content
And booking.
and then booking.
right.
And then it's super simple, right? Like you go to her bio, she has a scheduling link, you pay, you get it on the calendar. If you miss,
I
it's
agree.
no refunds.
I agree.
Nice.
And she just fills her calendar 15-minute slots for a whole day, 8 hours a day.
I agree.
So myth busted.
Mid by
Myth busted. Myth busted. I mean, to your point, I'll give a shout out to my wife on this episode too. But she has a small following on TikTok where she does nursing content, like you mentioned. But the nursing content is truly just to bring education and value to the followers or to the people on the platform. Where she makes money off of TikTok is actually tutoring these students. So she literally just posts content about all of the different topics around nursing, and then she has packages where you can book 1, 2, 3, 4 sessions with her, and she'll have an hour session with you where she talks about the different materials if you have a specific test or a specific chapter that you need help with. And obviously it's not blowing the money out of the water, but in the 1 year that she did it, she made an extra $10,000 of revenue
Great.
That's huge.
That's significant.
of income.
Yeah.
Of income.
Or people
And then we're not even talking about, our last episode, we talked about the creator economy.
yeah.
Brands are moving towards micro and maybe even nano. You can consider these nano influencers that they're doing partnerships with.
Right.
So like for your wife, maybe there's a scrub company that's okay with her having 5,000 followers.
That's right.
Right, because the engagement
It's
is
high.
high.
That's
Right.
higher.
No, that's it brings me back to the creator. I mean, we have had so many different episodes that this brings me back to. Yes, the creator economy, but also commerce-tainment, right? So she's providing value through one thing and positioning herself as a thought leader in that space, and that's why people come. But then there is something, secondary to that, which is, hey, I also have this service and I'm willing to offer it to you. And now that you know I'm really good at what I do and I'm an expert,
All right.
now you're interested.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the marketing funnel for
Right.
the beginning of time.
Yeah.
It is.
It's just
Still
it's
works.
nice to see it play out this way with creators and on these platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
All right. I have another myth, which is long captions don't work.
They absolutely work for certain things, especially when you're talking about educational content that's on LinkedIn typically
Yeah.
tends to
I was
perform
gonna
better
say,
if it's long
Depends on the
format.
platform for sure.
Yeah.
I've seen actually on Instagram though, sort of certain pieces of content that tend to get the most actual like saves or reshares
Yeah.
is ones that have extremely long captions on it, and
Yeah.
they'll say something and they'll say read the caption like literally part of the video, and it's the caption that has all
All
of
the value.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I've seen those work really really well also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think even on YouTube as well, right? A lot of times if the YouTube video offers a lot of value, but then, hey, this is where you can actually read about, maybe where the resources are that you can go find. And here's what we learned through this episode, blah, blah. A lot of the descriptions are really long and honestly really helpful and add a lot of value to whatever was being said. So YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn, I do think are places where those long captions do still work. So myth busted.
Busted. I want to change gears real quick. Not a part of our agenda, but I'm really always fascinated when brands coin terms.
Okay.
Right? And in marketing, a brand that comes to mind that's done it really well is HubSpot. So HubSpot started off with inbound marketing, right? Like everyone knows what inbound marketing is today, but they're the ones who coined the term. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but just the other day, they're doing a massive push. They come up with a new term and idea of doing marketing called loop marketing.
Interesting.
Loop marketing.
Do you guys know what is loop marketing?
I don't.
I do not.
So look it up really quick. Just type in loop marketing HubSpot and check it out. But it's essentially a new era of marketing, and it's designed with AI in mind.
Okay.
Right? So it combines AI efficiency with human authenticity, right? So beginning, it was just human authenticity for people putting out educational content. Now you're involving AI into the quote unquote loop. So it's structured in 4 different stages, which again, they're linear and they work with each other. But the first is express who you are. Second is tailor your approach. 3 is to amplify your reach. And 4, which is where AI comes in, is to evolve in real time. So they believe that this is a needed shift in marketing for multiple reasons, right? Number one, traditional funnels that we think about are under stress, right? So engagement is down, channels are multiplying, old tactics are becoming less reliable. Overall, customer behavior is changing, right? We talked about this through our social search.
Yep.
Search is changing, etc. And then there's a demand for faster iteration, right? So let's just take our industry. A social media manager might be looking for trends in May, but then they might be also looking for trends in June. So you need to be able to iterate your content at a speed where it's like, okay, what's new, what's happening now, and then be able to incorporate that. And it's a real challenge if you're using humans to do that versus if you're incorporating AI to maybe update your old articles that are out of date, or if stats changes, right? Like at Sociallyin's website, we have some huge stats articles for every single platform: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, like all the stats of that platform. Those stats change daily.
Right.
We need to be updating that. Could we incorporate some sort of AI system that monitors Google Analytics and then scours it and says, hey, you know, this blog that you wrote 6 months ago is now outdated. Here's an updated version for you based on the research I did. And then a human goes in, approves it, and then now, boom, you have an updated blog post that is relevant to the time, not outdated 6 months ago.
Right.
So that's what loop marketing is. I just came across this recently this morning. So it's a brand new concept. I think it's worth talking about in our next episode, and maybe we go a little deeper, just because number one, it's timely. HubSpot's going to be putting a lot of marketing dollars behind loop marketing and the idea behind it. So something to dive deeper around. But what are y'all's thoughts on this?
I am very interested in it. I also was kind of reading it as you were explaining it. To me, I would have to read more about it, but it does feel a bit like a funnel, kind of what we were talking about, like a marketing funnel. It's very similar to that. Like you have these different steps, but it's a little bit different as far as where AI comes in.
Yeah, it's like incorporating AI into each stage.
Yeah.
Right? So if you think about the awareness stage, you're trying to come up with different topics and ideas of like what you should post. Incorporating AI could help you find those gaps.
That's right.
In the next stage, which is awareness, consideration, conversion. Consideration stage, you might be able to use AI to customize your content to the person a little bit more, right? Tailor it to that person. So I think it's incorporating AI into each stage of the funnel. Again, like I said, this is new concept to me. I'm learning about it, but loop marketing, I think is going to be something that people talk about a lot.
It reminds me, actually, HubSpot, I think actually were the ones that coined this as well. But back when we used to do development work here at Sociallyin, there was a method called the growth-driven design, which is actually similar.
Similar, yeah. So it's a building block on top, right? Exactly. So you had inbound, then you had growth-driven design, then you had loop marketing kind of sits on top of all of these. So yeah, very interesting. I think we should do a whole episode on this. Let us know in the comments if you'd like for us to do an episode on loop marketing, what it is, how it applies to your business, and how you can take advantage of it.
Like it.
All right. we're going to do a little nod back to our Reddit episode with an Ask Me Anything. I figured we could each ask each other a question
Okay.
and see how it goes.
Why?
So, ask me anything.
Okay. Well, I guess I got a social question for Koshal or social.
Okay.
Social to social.
Social question, Koshal.
Okay, so I mean, look, the economy is turning bad, right? Like the jobs report recently came out. The Fed scrambled. They cut interest rates before their actual meeting. We envision that they're going to cut interest rates again. Precious metals are going to fly. More jobs are going to get lost. From the friends that I have, it's like really hard to get a job. I have friends who are trying to find side gigs, like on the side, very hard to find. So overall, my question is, how do you see marketing budgets playing out in 2026? Do you think that brands, especially the Fortune 5000, are they going to have an increase? Are they going to have decrease? Is it going to stay the same? What's it looking like for the marketing world in 2026?
I do think there'll be some nuances depending on, what part of the global region you're in, because I think the economy will shift
I'm in the
a little
US.
bit. So in the US, I think we're in for at least a little bit of a what I would like to call like a correction period for the economy. I think with AI coming out and how many jobs it's impacted, the way that the housing market has changed over the last 3, 4, 5 years after the pandemic, the way inflation has impacted the country, and then the way that the stock market and crypto and the economy is just continuously going up and to the right. I do think there's a correction period. So in that correction period, I do think because of how finances are impacted with the Fortune 5000 brands, that they will dial back. I do think because they have to dial back economically, that they'll be more thoughtful about social ROI, and going back to our episode, because I do think budgets are shifting more towards social media and social media marketing, but they want to see the actual impact of it. So I do think in the short term, next 2-3 years, immediate budgets go down, maybe about 15 to 20% decreases. But I think it's a short-term impact and that they actually will go up in the next 5 years. Fairly quickly, actually, too.
Yeah, I would agree.
What do you think?
I would agree. I think you're right. I think there's definitely a shift in the overall economy in the States in general. And so that's obviously going to affect budgets. I think as an agency, we've already seen a little bit of that. Marketing is always the first thing to go, no matter how much you believe in it. And people kind of backtrack after that. So exactly what you said. People are always like, marketing is the lowest priority, and they always kind of take from that budget, but then backtrack immediately when they're like, oh no, sales are down. Why?
Exactly.
And it's like, well,
It's kind of the Warren Buffett rule, right? That applies to marketing. Is like in the markets, you want to be greedy when others are fearful.
That's right.
And fearful when others are greedy.
That's right.
Same idea is if other people are pulling back on marketing,
You should double down.
you should double down, because we know all of these ad platforms work on an auction system, right? So the less people bidding on the slot, the less your cost is going to be at the end of the day.
and the more eyes you have on your content versus
That's what I mean, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
on other content, yeah. All right, I have a question for you, Keith. So you've been running an agency now almost 15 years.
Wow.
Incredible.
What?
I want to know, what is something about running an agency that still excites you on the day-to-day?
I mean, a lot, right? First and foremost, we have a family-owned business, so I wouldn't trade that really for anything, because get to work with the people I love every day. So for me, I mean, everyone's situation is different. Everyone agency is different, but us specifically, we have a family-owned business. Awesome. Second is I get to travel the world because of the agency. We're about to take the management team to Paris this upcoming month. I'm traveling for work pretty much 2-3 times a month. And during those work trips, if you know me, I like to have fun. Fun isn't our mission. So those always tend to turn into like a mini vacation. This is going to sound cliche coming from a CEO, but I love the team that I work with, right? Like literally every single moment I get to hang out with them, I'm trying to call them into Atlanta. I'm like, hey, you're 2 hours late. Can we fly you in? Because I'm in this city. So we're constantly trying to figure out how we can get together, because I really do truly enjoy working with everyone. And then it allows me to do what I want, right?
Yeah.
I get to work on the things that I want to work on every single day. Perfect example is we have hired already and onboarded an AI integration specialist. So this is a brand new role for us. This is something that I came up with. It's like, okay, what is this person going to do? Now I get to work on that mini project within my own agency. And luckily, you know, we're a profitable company. We have the resources to be able to go and invest into those different things. But those are the few things, right? Like family-owned business, the vacations that I get to take that are actually work, the people that I work with, and then the fact that I get to experiment.
Yeah, that's great. Coach Phillip, I'd love to ask you the same question. You've been here how many years at Sociallyin?
Oh, right over a decade.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
insane. So, I mean, same thing for you, right? Like, you run our operations much more than that, but to put it simply, like, how do you, what is, brings you excitement every day when you're doing this? And I know there are the downs, there are the valleys, but
course.
what keeps you excited about it?
Well, so one is the Keith's point, or to maybe piggyback off of his point is the people, but not just our team. I think our team is
We have the best team.
tremendous.
We do. We just,
But I've met so many people that I honestly probably would have never met if it wasn't for the agency, from the conferences I've been to, from the different events when we go meet our client partners and the people that we meet there. One of the best, big shout out to Gary V, VCon. I don't think I ever would have potentially maybe been a part of the atmosphere of that space if it wasn't for the agency. So I think it's the people that I meet. But the coolest thing, and this was a really eye-opener for me a few years into being in the agency, but the coolest thing, or what still excites me, is the fact that you see something that's finished, but you are the only one that has the hidden context to what actually transpired. So it's like,
the scene.
yeah, so I mean, you see a movie or something, but it's like, I feel so good when I see the team do something, but I see the finished product and I see how it performed, and I go back and I think about, oh shit, all the meetings and the ideas how I got there. So now when I look at things, I always immediately think about, it gave me a new perspective. I could think that's what was really cool about running the agency. It's like I look at things and I think about them from a new perspective, because I'm like, what happened behind the scenes?
That is
What
such a
happened
good
behind
one.
it?
You never, sometimes you just don't even know what went into a 10
Yeah,
second
literally.
TikTok.
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes a lot.
So that's what I learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will answer my own question, but I've been here, 7+ years now. And I think beyond all the things you've already mentioned, obviously we have the best team. I get to work with the coolest people, and I consider them my friends much more than just coworkers. But beyond that, I think working with some of the clients that we've gotten to work with and meet those people is also really fun and really cool to me.
Agreed.
Obviously, like not just the work, not just the cool projects that we get to do, the shoots that I get to work on, but actually the clients, the points of contact at those various businesses and brands that we get to work with.
For sure. And some of those contacts and clients, they're pretty wild, right? So we go see them in PBRs and we start talking about the band that they're in, and then they come to the dive bar with us afterward. And
You just never know. I mean, at the end of the day, we are all people. We are working with other people, and it's really fun to meet those folks as well and get to know them. And I have long-lasting relationships with people who might not necessarily be our clients anymore, but we're still friends on Instagram. We still share each other on, and we still stay connected. So I really enjoy that.
Nice.
You weren't going to say doing the largest TikTok dance at sea on a cruise ship?
There have been, yeah, we did break world records with a TikTok dance. I'll have to save that story for another day, but yeah, we've had to work on some really cool projects. Honestly, we should probably do an entire episode of just some of the cool that we've gotten to be part of.
Cool.
All right.
So I got one question for you, Nisha, and for honestly Keith as well, but hot take, and I think because of how social media has changed, this is a really good time to talk about this, but is being too polished on social media a growth killer?
Good question. I think yes, definitely.
Because it doesn't allow you to move fast.
Yes.
Right? Like too polished makes you have high production, cast, all this stuff. It like slows you down.
There's also the consumer behavior per platform, which we talked about before, but right on TikTok, if I'm scrolling and I'm seeing all this really authentically made organic content, and then suddenly there's this like super polished ad, it's exactly that in my brain. It's an ad, and I'm going to skip it immediately because it doesn't match the rest of what I'm seeing.
Exactly.
And therefore, it sticks out to me in a bad way where I'm like, oh, this is not something I want to engage with. On the other hand, I think you talked about this in one of our episodes recently about kind of this cinematic, more produced style of editing that goes into content these days that is trending currently. I do think that there is value in having a really good editor. If you're working with a creator or an influencer, making sure they're actually really good at editing and putting out content, not just,
editing is like half the pick.
yeah, like not just, okay, they're great, on camera personality, but how does their video actually look once it's complete? So at the end of the day, polished content, no, I don't think that's going to perform. I think you want it to look really real to the platform. But at the end of the day, also, I think it is important to have good production value to a certain level.
Like,
To that point, just on a side note, I've heard of some like really prominent creators, like Logan Paul level, Gary Vee level. Everyone does it differently, but I've heard some of them incentivizing their editors, right? So they'll obviously give them a base say, but then, you know, especially as we get bigger and we have more editors, it's like, okay, if your edit gets, you know, X amount of impressions, you get paid that, right? So if your edit gets 10,000 impressions, we'll give you $100.
There's also like going one step back, kind of the basics, right? Like having decent audio, having decent lighting, all of those things matter.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Especially coming from a production team, right?
Yeah.
If we are claiming that we're a studio, then our quality of work that we put out has to be above
right.
studio level.
Yeah. So yes, polished, not necessarily well produced and paying attention to detail. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. What's your thumbs up, thumbs down for today?
So mine's pretty new. It's the new AirPods Pro 3.
thumbs up, thumbs up.
So much cool stuff
Tell us
that
about
was
them.
coming
Tell
out.
us about
They're actually really I'm getting them.
Yeah, so I've already bought them. I'm picking them up
you
on
already bought them.
yeah, I'm picking them up on Saturday. But a couple of things. One, it's double the ANC, the active noise cancellation. I have the AirPods 1.
Okay.
The AirPods 2 was 2x better than the 1, and then the 3 is 2x better than the 2.
So 8x,
Yeah, well,
4x, 8x,
4x.
4x.
No, 2x, it's a multiple.
It's a 2.
So it would be 8x.
This is why we do social media.
Yeah, math is not my forte. Interesting.
Do the math.
Okay, but
If something gets 2x, 2x,
All right.
it's 2 to the 2.
That's
You know
4.
what I mean?
That's 4.
2 to the power of 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 4. Sarah's behind the camera laughing at me. It's a 4.
Well, no, so if it's 2x, so it's double as powerful as the first.
all right, I got
And then
three.
2x more, that would be 8x.
Yeah, so from version 1, version 2 is 2x, twice as good. Version 2 to version 3, another twice as good. So version 3 is 4 times better than version
4 times.
Sarah knew. Sarah knew.
Yeah, 4 times better than version 1.
Okay.
Anyway, so active noise cancellation is better.
I like
The
it.
reason I bought them, though, is because, again, going back to the fact that I travel so much, sometimes to different countries, it has live translation. So you could put it with your ear. It'll translate from Spanish to English. You hold up your phone.
real time?
In real time. You hold up your phone to the Spanish speaker. You speak in English, and it translates in
In Spanish, that's that big.
That-
And if they have
I'm
AirPods,
waiting for this.
if they have AirPods, it translates in real time.
You just start talking to
You're just talking in your language. It comes in
Wow.
the Spanish. So real time. The bass is better. The sound overall is better. The fit is better. So apparently now they have 5 different size variations.
Nice.
So overall, just like a massive upgrade to
And hearing,
I have
hearing aid
real ears, and
functionality.
they
So
all-
they have extra small tips.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I don't know, but I'm a huge advocate of AirPods, and like
Same.
now they just like. I'm so glad I didn't buy the 2s.
Okay, on the next episode, can we get an unboxing and review?
No, this is gonna be unboxed by the next episode.
He said, I'm not waiting for that.
It's just gonna be unboxed.
Just the review then. Just the review. It.
Oh, I
Yeah, we can do a review.
I'll speak to you in Spanish so you can tell me if it's working.
Okay, great.
All right.
Double thumbs up on that one.
Like,
Koshley, what's your thumbs up, thumbs down?
my thumbs up, thumbs down is more brands jumping on trends like the Dua Lipa t-shirt meme trend. So Dua Lipa was wearing a white t-shirt,
Uh-huh.
just had regular words on it.
I like that.
But all the brands, because it was just a white t-shirt, started to but edit it and put different logos on there. So now sports brands were throwing their logos and their
No.
Uh,
I mean, it's fun as long as the brand like says it's not real,
right,
because it could be misleading, and I'm not a huge fan of misleading.
especially with AI.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle of that. I mean, I'm all about trends and like hopping on fun things or
So-
whatever.
The public's opinion was it was cool when regular people were doing it,
Right.
and as soon as the brands jumped on it,
Not
they were like, "It's not gay anymore."
I get
And
that.
so-
I do think that there is a difference, especially when you are associating it with someone's body and face, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
little bit of a difference because I have seen similar.
And their likeness. It's like
Right.
it's like
That's their
Sociallyin
likeness.
on the shirt. Like
Like that's Dua Lipa didn't decide to advocate
No.
for your brand, yeah, and so I think there is a difference. Versus, similarly, like we have talked about jumping on a bandwagon of a trend. For example, when Travis and Taylor got engaged, there were so many memes made about that one photo, and then, people would put different captions on it,
Right.
put, and that to an extent worked because we all understood that this photo had nothing to do with the brand and they were not advocating for your brand, and we understood it was a parody.
Mm-hmm.
I think exactly what you're saying. When you use someone's likeness, a little bit of a
Exactly.
shaky thing there.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Yours? You got one?
I have one for today. I was going to say all brands, when you're a new brand and you're just launching, getting active on all the platforms ASAP. It's like, I also think.
I think you should secure your handles.
Correct.
Get active. Definitely not.
I agree. I think
Yeah, I agree.
I think you got to be smart about your resources, right?
I
Put
agree.
them in the places
Too
that
much.
are going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've made this mistake over and over again,
Yeah.
right? Like we have like 1,000 activities happening on Sociallyin, and then none of them get to full fruition because like it's too much.
Yeah. Put your resources where they're going to work. Do some research first and say, okay, our demographic is on these platforms. This is the, time and money we have to make TikToks, whatever.
right.
We can do this really
Yeah,
well.
what is your production resource? What is your time
Why are you on
resource?
X? Where
Right.
you have nothing to say on a daily basis because that's a platform where you got to speak on a daily, so it's like, yeah.
Yeah. So thumbs down.
Don't start on all of them. Get to all of them.
Put your money where it's worth it. Put your resources where they're going to work.
So great episode, guys.
Great episode.
Great
I think
episode. We talked a lot, busted a lot of myths. I do want to know, did we miss any myths? If we missed any myths, leave them down in the comments. We'll address them. We read every single comment, so please let us know.
Is it me?
It's you.
Yes, please let us know. I'd love to hear. On top of that, if there were any myths that you disagreed with us on, we'd love to hear your feedback, your takes. Like Keith said, if there are any that we missed, we'd love to hear those too. But subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you all.
Yeah.
Till the next one.
Keep creating, keep scrolling. See you next time.